Hi there, I'm Kelly from She Sails Away. Welcome to my channel. Have you thought about trying a transatlantic cruise? Do you wonder if it's too many sea days or if it's the right kind of cruise for you? Are you looking at transatlantic cruising with family or friends, or perhaps as a solo traveler? I'm here to talk to you today about transatlantic cruises, all of the reasons I love them, I think they're special, and if you're traveling solo, don't let that slow you down. A transatlantic cruise is something that needs to be on everyone's bucket list if you enjoy cruising. I'm also going to give you some tips for when you finally do book that big adventure. So, let's get started. Okay, first things first. What is a transatlantic cruise? It's when a ship goes from the United States over to Europe for the season or comes from Europe back to the United States for the season. It's a one-way cruise. It's usually 12 to 16 days long. There will be 3 to 5 port stops along the way, but mostly it's a time to spend at sea. These are some of the things I love about transatlantic cruising.
A transatlantic gives you the perfect excuse to go sample Europe. You're going to leave from Europe or arrive in Europe, and along the way, you're going to stop in 3 or 4
This
or
is your
5
opportunity
port
to
stops
see more
where
of the
you might
world,
normally
to see
never go
unusual,
on a
beautiful
different kind
places
of cruise that maybe intrigue you. Consider using your transatlantic to see more of the world, not just during your cruise, but when you arrive in Europe or before you leave Europe. Plan to spend a few days there. Do some sightseeing. Really dig into some things you've always wanted to see. When I did my very first solo transatlantic cruise, we left from Dover, England. I went over to London a few days ahead of time and did some exploring. It was my first time in Europe. I loved every minute of it, and I can't wait to do it again. Plan to spend a few days in the country you're visiting before you set off on your cruise or once you arrive.
Okay, the first thing I love about transatlantic cruising is that it's a unique cruising experience. Now, I've cruised Europe, I've cruised the British Isles, the Mediterranean, the Bahamas, Mexico, the Caribbean. This is different. There's a whole different feel to a transatlantic cruise. People don't come onto the cruise because they're looking to do a lot of port stops. They're looking to party and drink and get a whole big exciting vacation crammed into 1 week. Now, all the usual cruise activities go on, but this is such a long cruise and it's so many days at sea that people who come on a transatlantic tend to be there because they love cruising, they love cruise ships, they are there to relax. You're going to take your time. You don't have to do every single thing on the ship within a week because your cruise will be over. You have 2 weeks. It makes for a slower pace. There's not quite the same crush to get to the spa or get to the shows, get to the shopping. It's just laid back, relaxed. There's just something about a transatlantic cruise that feels different. And it's really nice. When you spend that much time at sea and you're all inside the ship for 2 weeks, you get to know each other. You get to recognize faces. You get to know the crew a little better. A sense of community is built. It's kind of like a little floating city and a little floating family. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a unique cruising experience, and I think everyone should try it. Another great thing about a transatlantic cruise is that it's usually lower cruise fare. Now, if you compare the cost day to day, even for a solo traveler paying that supplement fee, if you compare the daily cost on a transatlantic to the daily cost on the exact same ship, maybe around the Mediterranean, around the Bahamas, generally it's going to be cheaper. A transatlantic cruise is 2 weeks long. It's usually during the school year, and it's a one-way cruise. Not a lot of people can do this. Not a lot of people want to do this. A lot of people can't get the kids away from school, or they can't take time off work. Some people are not interested in a one-way cruise. I think that cruise lines lower the price just a little bit to make it a little more enticing to everybody to come. So take advantage. If there's a ship that you want to try and maybe it's a little pricey under ordinary circumstances, This might be your chance to go try that ship for an affordable price. Even if you're paying that solo supplement fee, it still might end up in your budget to try a new ship in this way. Okay, the next thing is the thing people wonder about the most whenever we talk about transatlantic cruising, and that is all the sea days. That is a lot of time at sea. And you know what? That's my favorite part. People worry that the sea days will become monotonous, that they will be all the same and just run together and you'll be bored. People worry that it's going to be windy, there might be a hurricane, there might be rough seas, and everybody's stuck inside with nothing to do. I'm telling you, that's not the case. The sea days are a gift. I would argue that all of those sea days, that's the very reason to take a transatlantic. You're going to watch the ocean change day to day. You're going to take in the experience of crossing the ocean. You're not just making a circle. You're not going to one place and right back again. You are crossing the ocean, and it's a big deal. It's fascinating. Every day will be different, and every day there are so many opportunities of things to do. The great thing about a transatlantic is because it's so long, you don't have to try to do all of the things within 7 days or 5 days. You have 2 whole weeks to make it up to the spa, to make it to that specialty dining, to have some time by the pool, to sleep late if you want to. You have extra time to do all the things that make your cruising vacation perfect for you. On that same note, one of the great things about being at sea for 2 weeks is getting to see all the sunrises and all the sunsets. Now, you might sleep through some of the sunrises, but you're going to see some, and you're going to see a lot of sunsets. And when you're out in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, they are spectacular. Another nice thing specifically about solo cruising a transatlantic is that's a lot of time just for you. You're going to be on a cruise ship for about 2 weeks. How does that sound? Does it sound amazing? Because it is. That's a lot of time to do whatever you want to do on your 2-week vacation every single day. You eat when you want, you go to the shows you want, you sleep in late, you go to bed early, you stay out at the casino, you do whatever it is you want to do. It is 2 weeks to just lose yourself in relaxing, watching the ocean drift by, and just enjoying all that the cruise ship has to offer. It's a very special time. It's a very unique time. You're not bustling around, getting out on the port excursions, trying to see all the sights, get all the pictures, do all the things. You're relaxing on a cruise ship, mostly at sea. It's a great time to unwind, read a few books, catch some live music, be outside if the weather's nice and swim or just soak up the sun. Whatever it is that you enjoy about cruising, this is your opportunity to do a lot of that without worrying about whether or not the person you're traveling with is having a good time or maybe wants to do something different. It's a self-indulgent vacation that is just very, very wonderful. Have I convinced you to try a transatlantic cruise? Are you going to go with family or friends, or are you going to go solo? Either way, I've got some tips for you now that you've decided to book your big adventure.
First of all, let's talk about some of the benefits of doing a transatlantic as a solo cruiser.
Now, another advantage to doing a transatlantic as a solo cruiser. This is an opportunity for you to do things that maybe you don't normally get to do or can afford to do when you're traveling with family and friends. I'm talking about going to the spa, getting a facial or a massage. Maybe you're going to go to the casino and spend a little money. Maybe you're going to go to the shops and buy a few things. Maybe you're going to get that drink package or rent a cabana. Do some really fun port excursion when you make it to land. Perhaps these are things you can't necessarily budget for when you're traveling with a group, but when it's just you, you have a little bit extra to work with. This is the time to get that bottle of champagne. Go to that specialty dining that you never could go to before. Go to the spa and get that massage. Go to the shops and buy yourself something. Whatever it is that's always intrigued you about trying out on a cruise ship and you haven't been able to do it, now's your chance. My most important tip for you when planning your transatlantic cruise, whether you're going solo or not, it's very important that you give serious thought into the ship that you choose. Every major cruise line will have transatlantics, and every major cruise line approaches cruising differently. And every major cruise line has very different ships. So, you need to know the ship you're choosing, and you need to know if it's a good match for what you like. You're going to be on this ship for about 2 weeks. So, do you like a really big, busy ship with a lot going on, 5,000 or 6,000 people on board? Do you prefer something classic, quiet, quaint? Do you prefer a focus on good food and service? Are you wanting lots of entertainment and a casino and all those things? Or are you good with just live music? Make sure you know the ship you're getting into. Watch some YouTube videos beforehand, read some reviews, and choose your ship wisely. You want to pick one that you can't wait to be on for 2 whole weeks. My next tip, bring some seasick medication. Now, you may never ever need seasick medication, and maybe you cruise all the time. Always a good idea just to have it just in case. You know, there is a medical facility on board cruise ships. They will have seasick medication, but they're not open 24/7 necessarily. So, have some seasick medication in your bag just in case you need it, because when you need it, you need it. Once in a while on these transatlantics, the seas get a little rough. On my very first transatlantic, we ran into the remnants of Hurricane Fiona, and I have never experienced a ship going up and down so dramatically for so long. They had to close the pools, water was sloshing everywhere. We had to hang on to walls walking down the hallway. My cabin creaked and popped like crazy. It was something else. I didn't need seasick medication, but I had it, and I was really glad I did have it. My next tip for you is a little controversial with some people, and that is buy your travel insurance. Now, some people will argue with you all day long about why nobody needs travel insurance. I'm telling you, this is my channel. I'm giving you my advice. My advice, buy the travel insurance and hope you don't need it. I'm telling you, things happen. On both of my transatlantics, I had a medical emergency. I had to go to the ship's doctor. I had to go to a doctor in Spain. Healthy people fall down. Accidents happen. Bizarre things happen. You don't want to find yourself needing a helicopter in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of Portugal, and not having coverage. You can't assume that your normal health insurance will necessarily cover medical evacuations and things like that. My recommendation for you, choose a travel plan and make sure it's a good one. Take it with you on your transatlantic. Something you might want to do ahead of time, especially if you're traveling solo, is find your cruise Facebook group. You can find this by going to Facebook, putting in your ship's name and the dates, and usually a cruise group will pop up and you can ask to join. This is a great way to meet some people before you even leave. Make a few friends, make a few plans. Often there's a get-together planned, coffee, breakfast. Sometimes there's a slot pull, bingo, card games. All kinds of things are organized, and if you're looking to have a few friends, a few friendly faces, just a few things to go do that are special with other people, this is a great way to make that happen. One thing you're going to want to do is look into your phone plan before you get to Europe. Check with your carrier. Make sure there are no hidden surprises coming your way. Some carriers have an international travel plan, an international pass, different things you can utilize when you're traveling overseas. It will help you save money. It will help you understand what you're going to be paying before you get there. It'll just help you budget out in general. So make sure you check into that before you head over there. This may be obvious, but plan some extra time at your European airport. You will be going through customs. You never know what the line will be like. You never know what the situation will be. Don't shave it down to the wire on your flight back home or your flight out. Allow extra time when you get to the airport to work your way through customs and come out the other side. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a unique cruising experience, and if you enjoy cruising, you ought to try it and see for yourself.
That wraps up today's video. I've given you all the reasons I think you should try a transatlantic, whether you're traveling solo or not. I've also given you a few tips to think about when you plan your first big adventure. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe, please hit the like button, and thank you for stopping by. Happy sailing and enjoy your next cruise.